Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. Apparently, our OP's boss liked the contract argument a lot more when he was using it, rather than having it used against him. Good job by our OP in the first story. So don't forget to subscribe to our channel if you're new here and turn on notifications so you don't miss a new video every single day. Here we go. I'm sorry, boss. I'm afraid my contract won't let me do that. I started out as a full-time apprentice, and after the first year, I was kept on and given a 20-hour contract. Despite this, I was almost working full-time and in several cases working 60-plus hours a week. The reason I was given a 20-hour contract was A, in case of money issues, they could force my hours down, and B, to keep my holiday allowance down so they didn't have to pay as many. If you work full-time in the UK, you get 28 days paid holiday, but on 20 hours over 3 days, you only receive 17. Did I mention David, the boss, was really mean with money and very hard on his staff? Now, my contract that David had written explicitly stated that during your resignation period, the company requires you to take all outstanding holiday days. That during your resignation period, you will not be offered any overtime, that my 20 hours had to be done over 3 days, and that I must give 8 weeks or more notice when resigning. He was very strict about that contract, any infringement, and I could get warnings or dismissed. Some of the company rules were very petty, such as I must answer the phone, good time of day, business name, OP speaking, how may I help? I once said, how can I help? And got a 15-minute lecture about how important it is to say may, not can. I totally daydreamed my entire way through, no idea what nonsense he was spouting. I really couldn't afford to go on holidays, and I hated just moping around the house, which resulted in me hardly ever using my holidays, excepting forced bank holidays. I also racked up a few lieu days when money was tight. About a year later, I decide I've had enough of David and his nonsense. We argued over a lot of topics, and he gave me 2 warnings for some other things. One of them I kinda deserved in hindsight, but it was provoked. Anyway, I give David my 8-week notice via email, and then tell him that I'm not coming in anymore. David flips his lid. How dare I not come in during my resignation period? Do I realize that he's not going to pay me my due holiday pay if I breach my contract and so on? I even got a few calls, which I ignore. My response? Hi, David. As per the contract you gave me, I'm required to take all of my remaining leave during my resignation period. I have 12 days of holiday left and 12 lieu days, giving me 24 days to take. Given that my contract is only for 3 days a week, I have to give 8 weeks notice. This leaves me with exactly 24 working days left. I'm also required to not work any overtime. This means that I cannot come into work anymore without being in breach of my contract. Since I'm following my contract exactly, I listed the contract subsections here, any non-payment would be a breach by you, and I am prepared to take this to an independent legal complaints committee if necessary. David did not reply, but I did receive all of my holiday pay on time, no leaving bonus or anything. I think I became an unperson so far as David was concerned. And our second story. But you're buying one too. I received my paycheck, and like every sane person would do, I decided to go to the store. So I bought some junk food, nothing really expensive, and I bought a bottle of wine, a tasty but cheap one. So I go to the cashier, and there was a woman in her 40s. She was buying just toilet paper and baby powder. But when she goes to pay, she didn't have enough money. Seeing that the 2 products were necessary, we all know the pain. No toilet paper equals cry in the shower. I offered to pay. She looked at me with stars in her eyes and told me that she was really grateful. But then, crazy lady attacks. No, not another person. She is the crazy lady. Dun dun dun. She asked me if she could get one more thing. Looking at her, seeing what she was buying, I told her yes. She probably would want something urgent because she was asking a total stranger to buy, right? Wrong. She came over with one of the most expensive bottles of wine in the shop, like $60. I looked her shocked, but body blocker. Conversation goes, C is cashier, me, a unicorn, CL, crazy lady. Me. Excuse me, ma'am, but I will not pay for that. CL, but you told me it was okay. Me, I know that. I said it's okay to buy another thing, but I never thought you'd try to buy a bottle of wine. CL, but you're buying one too. I really want one. At that moment, I was in a good mood, so I just told her, me. I can buy you a bottle. She literally lit up like a effing Christmas tree, but I can't buy that one. It's really expensive. CL, but I don't like cheap wine. She looked at the bottle in my hand and fake trembled like she was disgusted by it. C, ma'am, sir, you're holding up the line. I looked and really we were. Me, lady, it's your choice, or a cheaper bottle of wine or no wine. She just scoffed at me. CL, can't you understand? I don't like cheap wine. She told me like I was slow in understanding. I just looked at the cashier, I passed my thing. CL probably thought I was going to pass hers too. Nope, I paid mine and moved. CL, aren't you going to pay? She yelled. I just ignored her. Never abuse the goodwill of others. And our last story. I cost him $100,000 and a reputation for the rest of his life. In the 3rd grade, I was an awkward kid, had a mean drunk father, struggled to fit in and make friends, was bullied and shunned by other kids. One of my classmates, let's call him Derek, who regularly partook in bullying me, I was a social outcast. Kids were throwing stones at me, sabotaged and vandalized my property. It was hell. I did nothing about it but cry. By the end of the year, we moved houses and I transferred to another school not far away. Things were much better there. I finally had friends and was not as naive anymore, so I was not as easily targeted. I bartended in nightclubs, hotels, and cruise liners in my early 20s. This helped me a lot to be more socially adept and to understand social dynamics and human nature. I finished trade school and qualified as an electrician and later as a plumber. I know water and electricity, but believe it or not, I thought it was ingenious at the time. I started my own business, developed a reputation for excellent workmanship in my local area, and did well for myself. When I was 29, I'm 36 now, I received a call out at 2 in the morning for a flooding emergency at a local residence. When I got there, the place was a mess. Water was jetting out of a burst pipe, and electrical equipment was shorted. It was highly dangerous. The living room floor was caved in due to a sinkhole. The owner didn't greet or shake my hand when I offered. I recognized him immediately, Derek, from all those years ago. He demanded to know why I'd not begun fixing the issue yet. I was a professional, told him about terms of cost, etc., but I hid the written quote in my vehicle. I told him who I was and acted happy to see him, assured him that he was in good hands. After a while, he seemed to calm down and joked around with me. I knew I'd fooled him. We talked about our careers, our school days. I gave him tips and fake recommendations. We got along great. His trust was easy to gain. He must have thought of me as a complete sucker. I assured him that he was in good hands and this would be fixed in no time. I was careful not to start any actual work on the property. Doing the smallest thing would make me responsible for all of it. I started my revenge. When I was doing my assessment, I noticed that most of the building did not comply with city regulations and did not adhere to the registered and approved plans. There were multiple safety hazards, and all plumbing and electrical work were completed by unqualified and uncertified people in an attempt to save money. Also, the pipe in question had been leaking for a few weeks at least, getting worse by the day and finally causing disaster, which means their water bill would be astronomical at the end of the month unless a qualified plumber endorses a rebate with the municipality. I called my contact at the city, let's call him Donovan, and notified him of all the regulatory violations, safety hazards, and non-city compliant installations on the property. I also told him of the possible water bill. He promised to be there the next day. I immediately started photographing and documenting. The following morning, my contact was there at 10. He had a field day. He informed Derek of the calamity that was to come. They would be forced to tear down all the building additions, remove all the uncertified plumbing and wiring installations, have the plans reapproved, and start from scratch, which is an estimated loss of approximately $950,000. Derek was there in minutes. He was livid. He quickly threatened legal action, but Donovan simply told him that he had more than enough photographic evidence to have the property declared invalid within a week if Derek did not comply in writing. Donovan reminded Derek that he does this for a living and that the city has more legal resources to waste money on. I left Derek an invoice for my time just to smear salt in the wound and took my leave. Later he called me every name under the sun. I remained silent, and he hung up. He went on a Facebook rant about me, which was a bad idea. All the community stood up for me, and it started the story by telling competition where all kinds of people revealed stories of unsavory things Derek did to them in the past. Apparently, Derek's always been an a-hole. He never changed. One day, he called me and asked to meet. He sounded defeated and depressed, so I decided to meet and see what's up. I met him at a local busy convenience store. I know better than to take Derek the Weasel at face value, so noticed something quickly when he laid his phone screen down on the table. I knew he may be recording the conversation. He apologized for his behavior, which surprised me, and told me that this whole dilemma has all but bankrupted him. He told me he took out a loan for the building additions and cut corners to save money, but everyone does it. He showed me the water bill, which was nearly $80,000, a problem easily erased with a qualified plumber's signature and endorsement. I refused. He got irate again. Then he asked me, "Why did you do this to me? I know I was a jerk to you when we were kids, but I don't deserve to have my life ruined because of mistakes I made when I was a kid. What kind of person are you? You told me I was in good hands. I trusted you. You assured me you would help me. Then you stabbed me in the back. You quoted me only a few hundred and told me not to worry." I replied, "I said no such thing." "Derek, stop lying. You told me that it would cost a few hundred, maybe less. I heard you say it. You promised to help me, gave me recommendations. Why are you doing this to me?" Me: "Derek, you must have imagined it." He knew I was destroying him financially. His expression was a mixture of astonishment and disgust. I looked him dead in the eyes for a few seconds, for effect, then got up and left. I slept like a baby that night and had a goofy smile all week after. He tried calling a few times, but I sent him a text stating that further harassment will be met with legal action. Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.